It's a winery with rich history and deep roots in Southern Oregon. Naumes Suncrest Winery in Talent has not just one, but 4 different kinds of sparkling wine on their tasting menu. It all started with taking a risk, using a different method, and it ended with a very unique bottle of Bubs.
But each year I'll retain some wine and then age it on the lees over vintage, and ultimately it becomes a multi-year blend. So this here is a combination of 2018, 19, and 20 Pinot Noir and Chardonnay that's still aging on the lees. So we'll still stir this periodically. Each year we have a new multi-vintage blend, which slowly becomes more and more years altogether.
The Diamond, multi-vintages, the very best grapes, a sparkling wine that winemaker Chris Graves simply calls special.
The traditional champagne houses, they tend to blend, they assemble cuvées that have been many years, just like I'm trying to do. So it's a very ancient method that they've done for a long time, and it adds a lot of complexity.
The Bubbles program for Naumes Suncrest Winery popped up a few years ago in 2018. When Graves says they discovered they could contract out the right equipment and turn some of their still wines into unique bottles of sparkling. That first vintage was in 2019.
The Naumeses have about 100 acres under vine, and most of them are at their property, which is in the foothills of Talent at real high elevation. So they have some great sites that are north facing and east facing, so very cool. So they ripen up very slowly, including a lot of Pinot Noir and Chardonnay, which were our main candidates for making sparkling wine.
For Graves, starting a program like this is personal.
I discovered bubbles back in 2014. I really fell in love with bubbles, and I was on a trip to Argentina, and I had a traditional made rosé of Malbec sparkling wine, and I was handed a hot fresh empanada, and I took a bite and then I took a sip of this wine, and it was like one of the best pairings I can ever remember in my life.
When he realized it was something they could do at Naumes, everything else just fell into place.
Who knew? And so, we went through the whole method and everything, and then, when it was time, we sampled it, and it was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
Laura Naumes and her husband Mike, both raised by orchardists, have deep roots in the Rogue Valley. They started working in their family orchards when they were 8 or 9. When they both came back to Southern Oregon after school, they entered into the family business.
So I talked Mike into putting in 6 acres, which immediately turned into almost 20 because we cleared the rest of the hill and kept going.
That philosophy has poured over into their sparkling wine program. On their tasting menu, you won't find one offering of bubbles. There's a complete flight of 4 different kinds.
The entire sparkling flight is rather unique, and it's something that is unique to us here in the Valley. People are looking for something nice and bright and bubbly and fun to have, and we've seen a huge demand for our sparkling program here.
And so as you can see here, we have the bead rising up, pretty nice foam there.
The method to get to this point may be different, but Graves says the goal is the same.
We harvest this usually around the middle of August. These days it might even be earlier August. And then we'll pick it very gently. We're extra careful not to bruise the fruit or beat it up. And we can even cherry pick through our vineyard and pick the best looking clusters. And then again, we go to press, and we're super careful to create delicate base wine. And that's the real key for making good sparkling.
From there, it goes into stainless steel, where Graves says the wine is cleaned up and allowed to naturally settle.
And occasionally I will use maybe some nice French oak. Gently, just tiny amounts to just add a little bit more mouthfeel and some spice, which can be pretty fun.
And then it's time to bottle and add bubbles.
The system we use is the only kind in North America that's able to do this, where it's mobile and it can come in. So we'll bring in all of this equipment, and we get the gas into the wine in line, and then it's force carbonated bottled. It's a counter-pressure bottling at that point. So basically the still wine comes in, it becomes carbonated, and then goes into the bottle, and then it's locked in, and we're ready to go.
His best lots, though, are saved and assembled into their Diamond sparkling wine, that multi-vintage blend, a mixture of young and old.
Some of these wines that are aged 1 or 2 years on the lees, you get a lot of that autolysis character, the bready, brioche, that yeasty character. So that's what I want, but layered in with some nice fresh fruit as well. I want the high notes and those pretty notes you get from the fresh stuff. So by creating that blend and assembling all these years, you get a more complex and interesting wine.
The sparkling program, it's just a lot of fun. It's just, you can really get creative and They truly are distinctive. You know, when you go through, taste all 4 different of the sparkling, they are very distinctive.
Maybe that's what makes this winery and tasting room stand out. Or maybe it's using old world methods mixed in with new ways of putting bubbles into the bottle. Or maybe it's just a good time.